President Biden feeling the heat over his advanced age. Left-wing magazine The Atlantic hitting Joe with a brutal headline. Step aside, Joe Biden. The president has no business running for office at age 80. And about half of Americans agree with that idea. A majority says that the best age for a president is in their 50s. But all of that is a joke to the big guy who keeps making quips like these.
A lot of you are tired. They're tired. No, I get it. Try being 110 and doing it again. I know I'm 198 years old. But all kidding aside, think about that. Call me old. I call it being seasoned.
And if Biden takes that advice and bows out, here's another reminder that his number two is far worse. Kamala Harris taking people on a verbal roller coaster while trying to define the word culture.
Culture is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because it comes in the morning.
It comes in the morning. Oh, boy. All right, 49% of voters have a negative view of Kamala. I think she said a negative 17% or something crazy like that.
Are we sure Kamala's not the one that dropped the Coke bag?
Yeah, gee.
Yeah, the West Wing lobby is right below her.
Yeah, right. You're the vice president.
I think she gets a bum rap. I honestly.
You do?
I think she's in a horrible situation.
Why is that?
Have you seen the president? I would literally distance myself from. I think she's not only distanced herself, but I don't think there's any respect coming from the Biden side either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like they set her up to fail constantly, trying to set her up to be the fall guy. The problem is he falls so many different directions, she can't possibly cover all of it. Mm-hmm. And here's another thing about Biden. He's hurting. Because it's not about being 80 years old. It has nothing to do with that. Harrison Ford is 81 and still doing the damn thing, but no one's going to see his movie because the other 80-year-old who's working is terrible. So Joe Biden's even hurting 81-year-olds who got their stuff together because his aging process is far more severe. It's not about the number. It's about his behavior, the sporadic things, shaking hands with dead people, wandering off. Those are all the unfortunate signs of getting old. Yeah, has nothing to do with some 80s are spry and got it going on.
Or calling dead people, to stand up. Or
you know what? That's not fair, though, because it used to be cool to talk to dead people. Remember that movie? Where it's like, I talk to dead people.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now you want to judge him because he can do it? It's not fair. But
all right.
Give Kamala a chance.
Yeah, I think she's had her chance. But in the meantime, you've got...
Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face when I said that.
But Jessica, I'll go to you. In the meantime, you've got Gavin Newsom there. Gavin Newsom is running around. He's being a surrogate for Joe Biden. But do you think that he's a bigger threat to Joe Biden than Donald Trump?
No, I don't think that anyone in the Democratic Party right now is a threat to him. Everyone is coalescing behind him. AOC just endorsed him, which was a very big deal. So she's the head of the left wing of the progressive side of the party, and she came out early and said Joe Biden is the guy. There's such an incredible track record of achievements to go into this election, and I think she's really sending a signal to other people in the squad, people on the left who might prefer if a Bernie Sanders, who has also already endorsed him, or an Elizabeth Warren, who's serving as a surrogate for him, to say, we're standing behind Joe. If for some reason Joe Biden decides of his own volition that he's not going to run, sure. Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, they're all getting in, and they should. I think they'd make fantastic candidates. The age thing is a real consideration, and I thought that what Hillary Clinton was saying in that conference that she went to a few weeks ago was really butchered, because she was, I think, being honest and reflecting what people feel, which is that you should be able to talk about these things. You have to acknowledge it, not just make a joke about it, to say, like, this is why I'm fit to do the job. This is why I've done a good job and deserve to be reelected. But when you see the contrast, and I should note that Elliot Cohen, who wrote that piece in The Atlantic, is a Republican who worked under Condoleezza Rice in the Bush administration at the State Department. He was a supporter of Joe Biden's over Donald Trump's, but this isn't like a dyed-in-the-wool liberal. This is Elliot Cohen. But you have that juxtaposed with the fact that Joe Biden is out there today. We got this jobs report. We have the longest streak of unemployment under 4% in American history. And people are talking about how, oh, they're not good jobs, or it's, people not in prime age. The prime age employment is 81%. That's the highest since April of 2001. That's extraordinary.
So Shannon, tell me why people don't feel that way. Does it have something to do with their wages?
Yeah, it probably does, because when inflation is outpacing the wage growth and prices are going at a rate that your wage, even if it's increasing, it can't keep up with that. Poll after poll after poll shows people it's not showing up in their real life yet. And so they don't believe, they know things are moving in the right direction, but it's not showing up in their paychecks. And they're still paying too much for groceries and rent and gas and all of those things. It's really tough. And I think that adds to the angst about more time with President Biden for those who are opposed to him. It's interesting, though, in the polling on the age, when you ask the same people about Trump, who is not that far off from age from President Biden, they have a lot less worry and concern about the age issue with Trump. Like you said, I don't think it's just a number. It's probably the energy and that kind of thing. I will say that, okay, they say best age for a president is in 50s, which means, ladies, we can't do it because after 50, we are out of our prime. So there's no option for us there.
I heard that somewhere.
But this is what I like about covering Washington, because I'm considered young there. When you're covering the Senate and the Supreme Courts and, average those ages out, it's like 103, I'm a spring chicken there. So we can talk about age all we want.
Yeah, I love it.
In D.C., you're south of 80 in D.C., and you're a youngster.
All right, Charlie, but why does Biden not embrace it? Why does he not say, instead of making a joke about it, and I think that's the point of the piece in The Atlantic, irrespective of who wrote it, The Atlantic published it.
Right. Well, I think that he doesn't really joke unless the joke is written for him. And when he tries to joke with a joke that's not written for him, it usually falls flat. There is no doubt, as Jessica pointed out, that Joe Biden is Santa Claus to the left. That we have never had a more left-wing president in the White House. He has given them everything that they've ever wanted. Kamala Harris started out as the insurance policy against the 25th Amendment when Joe Biden started losing his mind. The problem is she has now become the greater threat. If they could embalm Joe Biden and keep him around forever, they would, because he's delivering to the far left. And what their great fear is that something is going to happen to him and then it's going to automatically go to Kamala Harris. If they could figure out a way to blast him out of there and then throw it open to a primary and get a Gretchen Whitmer or a Gavin Newsom into the mix, I think they would be a lot more open to the idea. But as it is now, they just have to keep Joe Biden propped up and Kamala Harris out in her office above the West Wing lobby where they found the cocaine.
May have found it was several.
Suggested.
Not suggested. Location Hunter, B block the vice president.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.